Hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining me here. My name's Eva. Before we get started, I just wanted to let everyone know I did finally figure out and turn on the subscription for the trance meditations. So that's through my website and I've linked that below. So the way that that's divided is what I'm calling the sort of foundational archive. So that's all of the trance meditations that have been released over the past couple years. The work, the way the trance meditations come through by way of the sound healing and the light language is the same, but the level of sort of description and interpretation and sort of the layers we're working with by way of what we're aware of is expanding much more as we are moving into this sort of phase of the timeline. So I wanted to keep them available, and so they'll live in that, I think I'm calling it the trance portal, as a collection. There's like 39 of them that you'll always have access to, and then it also includes all of the new trance meditations, and I'm uploading one of those later that will be sort of more broadly focused and less interpretive, as we're really being called and drawn into a more expanded, more unified means of communication, and really letting go of old stories as identity and letting go of asking questions maybe in the way that we used to ask questions, letting go of how that we've been talking about, and really surrendering and really embodying what those ideas mean and allowing the healing that comes through to assist us with that, rather than trying to pin it down and interpret and translate it. Not that we were doing that before, that's the way it naturally came out, but just moving with time. And I wanted to have that available for people who are at that stage. Everybody's at different levels of the journey. We go back and forth sometimes, just, you can switch back and forth between the new work and the foundational, however you feel guided. The work is still incredibly powerful. I go back to them myself. And then it will also have a private aspect of a Discord where we can all talk about the healing and talk about the work and talk about what comes through and ask questions and get to know each other. And I've been trying to find the means and the ways of putting that out there, and now I finally have. So you can check out that link below. I also wanted to just briefly mention both memberships that are available on YouTube. The Sun Babies are the group healing. It's about 40 minutes every week of what basically comes through as a session like you would get if you worked one-on-one with me. That is sort of specific to where we are in time. And the sacred union level is this divine union that I feel so... this is unity consciousness, but in the way of like polarity integration and transcendence through this sort of being consumed by love and allowing yourself to open and be sort of entered by the self, by God, and allowing that merge to really transcend what it means to be human, what it means to be a being. And so we deal with a lot of sexual trauma and, expanding ideas of sexuality and sexual energy, and really freeing that sacral space, freeing that womb space, reconnecting, reunifying with the idea of what the divine feminine is, and really allowing that to be transcended from what we might think by the ways of old archetypes or shadow archetypes or just old stories that aren't really a reflection of what this newness, what this more unified state is. So if that is something you are drawn to, you can check out all those links below. We can also work one-on-one together, or personalized trance healings or written sessions, which are also very, very powerful and a lot of fun to do. So in this video, I was feeling fairly called because over the past week or so, there has been a deep revelation of darkness again. This level of a dark structure that we can see really emerging in the collective, by the way of sort of global geopolitics and the geomagnetic changes of the earth, of what's emerging. But a lot to be revealed, and you might find that you are kind of revisiting relationships or attachments to sort of lower shadows, lower structures, lower control, lower manipulation, lower beings, lower realms that you might feel like you've really already dealt with, and you might be confused about why this is all sort of coming, and it might feel very physical. It might be, you might have gotten sick, you might have physical aches and pains. So I was feeling really called to do a video this day on this idea, revealing this idea of fearing the world, being afraid of the world, being afraid of other people, and identifying the world as dangerous. And so this will very naturally be a trauma healing and a cellular memory healing as well. And if you are interested in the sort of sacred sexual union tier of the membership, I did post a really powerful trance meditation yesterday that really viscerally got in there in a lot of these structures, because me and my best friend, who I do a lot of this work with, we're really noticing a lot of the same things, and it just felt timely and important. So that's over there if you are interested. But let's take a deep breath and center ourselves, be in the center of our awareness, resting in gratitude for being able to hear the voice of the One and remember the voice of the One, being in gratitude for remembering our true self, for remembering our reality as we let ourselves open, as we surrender to that awareness and we let all other ideas go. We expand in that awareness. We let that awareness fill our body, fill our mind, fill our energy field. Allow any attunements and corrections to come through as needed. Knowing that we are safe, knowing that in reality we are always healed, we are whole. Opening that heart space, letting any tension in the shoulders, tension in the hips, tension in the jaw, in the forehead rest. Himaya sunya paot orro tinanda toya mayani, kinyanda orro shinin tratos tokorroin, hitos noarat ina, hinyando orrotisti kanim morrosti tri, inyanda iria ruitis yotsota, Kinyanda suma orrohinato sunjokorro kunayana, hinamondro arratusi, shi orro kunandraya, hurroshiti, kinyana orroshitia, kimiana orro kinamorrohin, inyamavusut sorroshitritiana. Really, really, really loosening up the pelvis, loosening up the root. This has been coming through a lot recently, but this sort of root sacral merge, this, if we're thinking about it in terms of polarity integration, this traditionally governed by masculine and traditionally governed or overseen or embodied by the feminine, really merging these ideas, these concepts, these essences, understanding that they in truth came from one. Yes, it's not that they were created separately and are being unified. It is a reunion. They came from one, and the idea of a separation split these two things, yes? Kinandua roshimi tara kandriatia sunziti, kinandara torro kunamayani nandri tio sotsora shitrati nandratos. And so in this way, you're never without, yes? And so you can think about it in terms of this polarity integration of masculine and feminine. It'll be multi-layered, so it's kind of both, but in a wider view, it is this separation wound. You are never without God. You are never without eternity. You are never without reality. You are never apart from yourself. And so there is nothing to fear because there's nothing outside of you. There is no oppositional force. You are not in danger because you are not a being who is capable of being in danger. It is the memory of reality that ensures your safety. And we really want to let this come in from within us, from within the center of our being that is everywhere, from everywhere in our bodies, from everywhere in our mind, from all of the different multidimensional layers of our being that we sort of have superimposed in this idea of our body, but that is certainly much more than that. Throughout time, space, collectively, multi-universally, you know, this is not limited. Kinandoro hinya moro hishitayasa. Kinatorro shimyanditia torro kunyamari. This is a lot. This is very, you might feel this very focused in the root in the sacral. I'm feeling this deep, deep, deep. Nindriti soncha korro kinamatriotos humoaratos no shindipano konondo aya tinitiat. And in terms of the physical timeline and the earth, the planetary body, this evolving, transcending, of, you know, ascending consciousness, body consciousness, planetary and our own bodies that came from this earth. That we would be in greater tune, in more clarified communication as we continue to move through this process of time and in this evolutionary cycle, because it is happening. And we are well equipped for it. Yes, we are well equipped. Let yourself believe that you are equipped for it. It lives within you. Let it emerge. There is a baseline of safety that has to be accepted. It's not achieved. Let's get that word out of our vocabulary when it comes to healing. It's not anything that needs to be achieved. It's accepted as what you already have. You lack nothing. You are everything. Achievement implies that you lack it and you work for it and then you gain it. That's not what this is. You let go of the idea that you don't have it. And you let it be. You let it be so that it is. Sinchitratus nundro corro himayana initinda torro kunayat shindikni torro kunayam mutut hinindarat inindreatus corro yatitiata corro shindriti sumsandratus corro hinani himiandaratus soish sansatritis yorrushitat orkunamayan sansatarai orkunitit ihanandais yorro hiniandayat unuhumor kunumorro inimorro kininiumorruititiot uhorkotisata is shinihiniamosun hinimosat soto shapatratis ini kinyandatot horrokunomashinyat hiniana umorrokunitis yoshti kanandratisit siti kinianayan yorro tesimindorro hiniandais yotsotro ayat orrokunamayan indriayatos, releasing from the shoulder blades. Hiamayani toyono kontatimo ana shanyandayisio orrokoti. Ini umasun sotatito korkunipati shini anataitiono anatat. Yana onayana odaya tiana moesiana toaushni andai tiayo yakinaun. I mean, this is coming through as like this like plasmic orb consciousness. That is what the sun is, yes. And so it is this solar consciousness, this language of the sun. This has come through, I mean, since the beginning of all this work that's come through me. But this is accepting this language as your own. And it doesn't have to be expressed in the way that I do it. But it is this level of communication which is less restricted, less constricted, less limited, less discrete. Kianandoro, more all-encompassing, less time-bound. Kandriatokorro kunim disnindritai. Nandiator kumama sinchi kinyandu. Hinitinyandayo suchai. Hinitior kunoshan satrai. Hitikor kunuisnu amanda tusoso ishititi orundita. Hiniyomo rukuno yotokorkunat. Sunjiti oyotor kunuin sindriti siat. Initani no rotisni ushor kunuin sindria sotsua isio toshinitin. Hinina yaniana yani no yashuno tonondi sitia shinyandai hinyandor koshitia natia natiata. Hinyanda sitsani shinindriati sian chindriatia koyotot oavo shininditia takaratos umoansitia shan. A lot of this has to do in your own, like in your mind training or your practice in time. So like how you remind yourself and how you redirect yourself. It requires a letting go, and I say this a lot, but it does. This is what's coming through on this, is that it requires a letting go of dissecting illusions for meaning. It's hard for us to discern the difference between bringing illusions to truth and trying to bring truth to illusions. And so we can, when you sit in contemplation, you can ask Spirit to help show you the difference. And you can use these meditations to help you in your inner being, in your higher mind, to see the difference from your higher mind. See from your holiness the difference between those two things, so that you don't waste time in trying to find meaning in illusions that you think will set you free, but it won't. We waste a lot of time doing that. What is Spirit really asking of you? Turn your face to the sun. Turn your face to the truth. You know when you don't feel good, and you know when you're not, when you're doing something like wrong, right? You know when you're doing something out of alignment because it doesn't feel good. And that's where it is. That's your answer. And then you say, oh, I believe something that's not real. I don't need to try to make it real to justify why I believed it. You just let it go. But we don't think that we're allowed to do that. But from what I receive, I believe that is what we are being asked. It's a radical way of thought if you look at it in relation to a world of fear and a world of identification with your ego, with your separateness. But that's not where this is coming from. See from the eyes of your own holiness. You don't have to list all the ways in which you believe you're not safe. If you don't feel safe, God, Holy Spirit, Creator, Source, I believe something that is not real. I would be shown what is real. I would feel what is real. I would accept what is real for me. Because it's up to us to accept it. We have to make the choice to accept that for ourselves. That is our level of choice. Beautiful. I think we'll end this here today. Very, very beautiful. Thank you guys so much for joining me. If this resonated with you, I think I'm going to focus this week's union healing, the sexual energy group, on this idea, this extrapolating about this not feeling safe in the world and the world not feeling safe. If that's something that you are working through, you might find that helpful. So I would love to see you there. If not, thank you very much for joining me, and I will see you next time. God bless you.